So I feel like, I don't know when this is going to come out. So I'm going to say either my viewers are going to see you or they're going to not see you before this. Okay. But you've made an appearance on this channel, or you will be making an appearance on this channel.
Excellent.
But you are joining me in a much more personal capacity today. Mm-hmm. And man, I am so happy that we had this conversation.
Exactly.
So she and I have been talking offline about this fibroid experience. And one of the things, yes, and one of the things we talked about is not talked about a lot. So I made sure after she gave me her experience and gave me the rundown, I was like, I have to bring you on board for this, you know, because you're an expert. You have, unfortunately, you're an expert in your experience in this. So they've heard my story. So can you kind of just talk about your experience and how you found out?
Yeah, sure. So I was first diagnosed with fibroids when I was 25 years old. I was doing my master's at Penn. And I say Penn not because it's a great university, but also because it has a hospital attached to it. So that's why I was able to, you know. So I just was having like a normal visit with my gynecologist, normal, and she just asked me very basic questions. How's your cycle going? And I'm like, well, it's a little heavy on 1 or 2 days, but then it's really light after that. Yeah. And she was like, that's not normal. So straight away, because I was at Penn, I got an ultrasound like the next week. Mm-hmm. And that's when they discovered I had 3 fibroids. Yeah. And at the time, they were like, they weren't that big. Yeah. You know, I want to say they were like maybe one was like the size of a tangerine, and then the other one were grapes. So I had 3. They did but I was in a space where I was transitioning, moving to another country, moving to the UK at the time. So I was like, oh, and the thing with fibroids, and I'm sure maybe you like, if it's not bothering you,
right? They say don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, because some people do like have fibroids and it doesn't bother them, or they find out when they're pregnant and all these other things. So it doesn't. Sometimes it just doesn't bother people. Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't grow. It also depends on the position, if they're in the wall, out the wall, you know, all of these things. So I didn't think anything of it. I still had the heavy periods, but I was like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I moved abroad to the UK, and I was in London, and then at age 28, that's when the explosion happened. Right. Like, that's when everything went. Now at this point, I have this stomach that is like to the point where people thought I was in my first trimester, second trimester, because it was like I had a little pudge, and so I was like small all around, and then I had this pudge, and then it was like really hindering my everyday life, you know, like because of the heavy bleeding and everything. I couldn't get through a work day, a meeting, just out of fear that it could, like, I could have an accident in a chair at work. Yeah. Or I was already having accidents in the bed, like at night.
That's my crazy experience, is because I'd never had heavy periods because of the birth control use.
Yes.
Literally, this was a lot for me.
Yeah.
It got really heavy really quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine was so heavy that I had to take, I can't think of the name of the medication now, but
trimenic acid.
Yes.
Trimenic acid, which I am on right now.
Yes, that's it. And that would make the bleeding lighter. Yes. So just for me to have like a manageable day, to like, otherwise I'll have to stay home. Yeah. I couldn't literally like even commute to work because I could have an accident on the way. I was like really like, it was really a disruption in my everyday life. So, and there was even like a point I was getting used to like the new system in the UK and the health system, and basically like they wouldn't give like an ongoing prescription. I had to like call in every month, and it was so ridiculous. So one time my period came on the day I wasn't expecting, and I called them and I was like, oh, I need the medication. They was like, oh, it's a 2-day. You have to do it 2 days in the request, and if it's ongoing, you have to like make sure that you sign up for the ongoing bit. So I was like, okay, well, I didn't know that. I need it now. They're like, oh, the best. It was like a Friday. They were like the best.
So you have a whole weekend dealing with your...
I said by then my period would be over. Like I had a choice. So I cried that day. Yeah. And I was on my way to work, and it was like 8 o'clock in the morning. I just thought because of my experience living in the States, they would just call the pharmacy up. I'm sure it's not this way with every GP. But that was my experience with my particular GP. So I was just like crying, like I had to stay home, and then I had to like reveal this to my boss because it was a legitimate,
embarrassing.
Yeah, embarrassing.
And I think this is one thing that people and this is what I've been talking to you about as well, like the emotions around it.
Yeah.
Someone told me, another warrior.
Warrior, definitely.
That, you know, it's your hormones are elevated through this thing.
Yes.
But it's a very isolating feeling.
Yes.
Because it's taboo. You know, we don't even talk about periods.
No.
Especially here in Liberia, we don't talk about periods.
Not at all.
So imagine talking about something that's, you know, period related.
Yeah.
And then it's linked to fertility, all these different things.
Of these things.
And in general, I just feel like now recently people are starting to talk about it.
Yeah.
And this is why we're doing this, right? This is why we're doing this, to hopefully help other young women. Because, like you said, so you had to tell your boss.
I had to tell my boss, and luckily it was a woman, and she is African descent, and so she also experienced fibroids as well. As you know, is like disproportionately high with
black women.
Yeah, black women. So she's like, yeah, I had the surgery years ago. I totally understand and everything like that. But I mean, I could have easily had like a white British male, like in a having
white male.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, what? How can I explain this? It's like such a personable thing. But you know what's crazy about like the whole situation is that when I got it, I told my mom, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we got it. We bought it from in our family."
Yes, it's
a
hereditary thing.
Your grandmother, I think your grandmother had it,
and my mother, and my aunt,
I was like,
experienced it. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And why have you
told me about this? Like, she was like, "Oh, you know," and then and actually one of my first cousin on my mother's side as well. Later on, around the same age I was, then she got it, and no one had told her, and I was like, sorry, girl. It happened to me too, you know. And
so this is why we need to talk about it. This is why we need to talk about it. So she's not only here just to talk about her fibroids. She actually is here because I am about to have the surgery that you already have.
Yes.
So talk to the audience about your well, not too much.
Not too much.
we had a R-rated version on camera. But talk about the experience with the surgery and kind of give me, a little what to expect.
Yeah. So I ended up getting the surgery. So I was diagnosed at 25. It went from 3 to 12 at 28. One even the size of like a grapefruit. And I didn't get them removed until I was 30.
Wow.
And that's not by my doing. It was like basically around insurance and all of that kind of stuff. So I ended up, and I was living in the UK at the time, I ended up getting the surgery back in America. It's a very difficult surgery.
Yeah.
I would say that. So there's different ways of getting, removing the fibroids. I've had the myomectomy, which is the most serious one. It's an open surgery. Think about it like having a cesarean. Mm-hmm. It's the same kind of situation, except they're like pulling out fibroids instead of a baby.
Yeah.
So it's a major surgery. Just think about it in that term. There are more, like sometimes you can like reduce the blood flow from coming. You can do through a keyhole through your belly button. There's other methodology. The laparoscopic, and
but when they're our size, there's no other option.
No, the option is myomectomy, and it's really serious. Yeah. So when she told me that, I was like, I have to give you tips. Because it's a serious surgery, like.
And you know what I appreciate about your tips? I'll say this, and I love positive people. Everybody's like, you're going to be okay. You're going to be great. Yes, let's pray. I will be. But I want to hear the real. I want to know, let's not sugarcoat this. I want to know. I was looking at things to order, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, Amazon has a must-have list for everything. And I actually typed in myomectomy, and myomectomy must-haves.
What?
Yeah, so there's like a whole Amazon list for this.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, but when I ordered the items, I'm looking at the items, I'm like, okay, this is a lot, So I need some like real life experience, and even when you look online, you get people's testimonials, but it's different when you got your girl here to tell you like what to expect. Yeah. So tell the people what I should expect.
You should expect to be, first of all, as we both know, it's not only just a physical pain that you experience, it is quite emotional, because each fibroid story or journey is very personable, and different, and unique to your own experiences. And I mean, that was the first time I realized I had anxiety. you know?
And see the difference? I've always had anxiety.
I think I did, but I didn't recognize it until after
how
that
extreme
point.
it
How
was.
extreme it was. So it's like I said, it's an open surgery, and it's like an incision near like the bikini line, and I forget how many hours it is, but
I haven't even gotten there.
It depends because they get also when they did my fibroids, like ultrasound, they thought it was a certain amount, but then when she got in there was some hiding
more.
Underneath there. So I think initially they were like, oh, you have like 8. They counted like 8, and then I ended up having 12 in the end. So they found more, in there. So you have to literally learn how to walk again properly, like stand up straight, your whole adjustment to how you're sleeping. Excuse me, sorry, wine. Bubbling. You have to restrict the way that you live your daily life. For example, you can't, stretch for a long time. I had to change my whole wardrobe. Like I wear dresses because I love them, but it was mainly because of the incision line and how it was irritating to wear trousers that wasn't like above the incision. So I just continued to wear dresses and skirts and things like that, elastic kind of.
And the joke is, she told me that it was very uncomfortable for her to wear pants for like a year. But the good thing about me, I'm an old lady, so everything I have is about high-waisted anyway. So maybe in a few months I'll be able to get back into those.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the walking. She showed me the way she was walking out after the surgery, and even when you come down and you talk about it. I'll be in the hospital for 4 or 5 days.
Yes.
So it's a major surgery.
It is a major surgery, even though I'll just give advice that if you are in the process of getting a myomectomy, do not allow the doctors to push you out of the hospital faster than you think you're ready. Because
this is a good one.
Yeah, like I said, I did mine in the States, and I got my surgery the surgery was on a Friday. And after the surgery, after a few hours, my doctor came in and was like, okay, I don't see a reason why we can't release you. And I was like, no, wait a minute. I was heavily on narcotics. Like, it's just a serious surgery. And she's like, I don't see any reason why you can't go. I was like, I absolutely cannot leave.
And this is a great subject because you see this a lot now in the news that Black women they're not taking it seriously. Their pain is not taken seriously. The statistics are there that we die a lot more often in common things like childbirth and different things. There was a story, I don't know if you saw it last week, about the influencer.
Someone was telling me about it.
Beauty influencer who was misdiagnosed with fibroids and ended up with cervical cancer, stage 3, and died. Now, for me, in this emotional state that I'm in right now, that sent me into a whirlwind of feelings, and now I'm going to end up asking the doctor, you sure I don't have cervical cancer?
Right.
And he's probably going to cuss me out, but it's a legitimate concern.
Yeah. Anything, obviously I'm not saying this because you are going to surgery. Everything is going to be okay. Your life is going to be different. You'll come out on the other side. Trust me. I'm here.
Living proof.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, it's scary because it's a major operation, and I ended up staying in the hospital 2 additional days.
Yeah.
I refused to leave until I felt ready enough.
And I'm glad you said that because what they told me is there's a large chance for a blood clot.
Yes.
If you don't tend to yourself, and then of course you can die from that.
Yes.
And this is another thing. So I'm gonna bring it out. I'm always gonna find a way to bring it back, y'all. So when I say there's many reasons, although living here has taken a toll on my life, my quality of life, of course, because it's not America. But then when you look at these things, the place that I'm having the operation, they take time, to talk to you. They care. They're making me check in the night before,
right?
And I have to stay in another 3 days after the operation.
That's great.
So in some ways, yes, America and the West are great in certain things, but we all know healthcare is not the best. Especially for people that look like us.
Yeah,
and if you have insurance.
Exactly. Lucky for you that you're not having it in Liberia because all of the problems in the healthcare system at the moment, unfortunately. But we're getting better and getting better.
And luckily I did have the resources of Jamale to help me diagnose, and I know they're going to be great on my post-op care.
Yes, definitely.
But we hope that we get there one day, and we'll commend Jamale, if this was a couple years ago before you guys came, I would have not had any options, and I probably would have gone on undiagnosed.
Yeah.
And because, you know, mine went from 0 to 100. You know, I was diagnosed in December, and January is when everything started.
Yeah.
So
and Jamalia, they are the ones who had diagnosed you.
Yeah. So I went in and they did an ultrasound.
Exactly.
And that's when they told me, and I do have a few, but there's one that's championing over everyone right now, and that's the one that's grown to this proportionate size. So they were, luckily, I was able to get diagnosed with them. But imagine, before Jamale, there was not a lot of options, you know, for this. And I could have, I mean, and the way mine, I mean, yours, it took you 5 years. Mine progressed rapidly and aggressively. And I'm not sure what that is. And the issue we talked about, there's no research to talk about why this happens or why that happens. It just happens. And you just have to kind of roll with the punches. Yeah. So, cheers again to you.
To surviving.
Survival.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll be on the other side of this soon.
Yeah. And things will be better. And you'll remember what your life used to be with.
I know, because it's been, my life has literally, we call her Madam Royd. That's a joke. Madam Royd, and some days she's, like today, she's pissed at me for some reason. She is dealing with me, mind, body, and soul. But, you know, just having your life back, like you said, even though I'm going to be recovering, and, you know, they say it's a 4 to 6 week recovery, but you know, you said
it took me like a full year to fully recover, to feel like myself again, and be able to engage in the same activities I once did. You know, like, so just prepare for that. Prepare for that,
but also then you prepare to not have to give excuses to not doing anything.
Yes,
because it really, and one thing I you know, people would say, you know, I would call off or something, or I couldn't go somewhere one night, but then the next day I'm fine and I'm posting it. And let me say this on a personal, it's been very taxing on me because I'm in the public eye.
Yes.
And I have to be. And a lot of people probably think I'm making it up, or, you know, I'm over exaggerating. But a lot of the times if you see me posting, I post and I'm like, and then I'm like, oh my God, I can't even breathe, you know. So it's been extremely wearing on me. So it'll be good to be back and enjoy life again. Because even if I have no choice, I have to push through a lot of these things, and I have to smile. But deep down inside, I am not enjoying myself. And even, you know, getting, you know, out to I done told this audience a million times, I'm back to filming, I'm back to posting, and here we are. Y'all haven't seen much of me, and this is why. This is another reason why. But hopefully I'm gonna get back on track.
You will.
And you'll be there to celebrate with me, and we're gonna bring this awareness to Liberia, girl.
Definitely, we need to talk about it more. I will say one of the pluses of being in Liberia, and also having the support from, you know, the support in Jamali for the post surgery, which is just as important as the surgery, is that they, because fortunately that is so prominent in African women, African descent women, Black women, that they are used to dealing with those cases more here. So maybe that's even why you're staying in the hospital for more days, because they understand
the risk.
Like, because of all unfortunately, because of their experience, you know, more dealing with these cases. So,
and even when you know, you said there was a wait list, I know that had to do with a lot of, with the UK system. But even with me, it wasn't like, oh, you can do it the next day. Right. A lot of people ask, why did you wait so long? I'm like, there's a wait list. People have to get in there to get it done.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's something in our community, and I'm glad we're addressing it. And I'm glad we're able to sit and kick back. You guys, this is my last hurrah, this is my last weekend. You guys will probably be catching up, but this is my last woosah before I get this thing done. So I appreciate you coming through, girl.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And y'all gonna see her again and again and again, because you've already seen her, or you will see her. But I really look forward to us bringing the awareness and bringing hopefully some relief to women in Liberia. So cheers to kicking these fibroid butts.
Yes.
And see you later, Madam Fibroid, Madam Royd. Period.
Exactly. Period. Literally. Period.
Oh my God.